but we are in the game. We have here in the top right of merry-go-round, we have from Team GdA, which, in case you didn't know, actually stands... Wait, what does it stand for again? Ah, thought I knew. GdA team. Yeah, it's really GdA team. Okay. We have Indy. He is their Grandmaster Protoss player. And in the top left, we have the red circle from Team Candydragons. He uses Power Beam. I'm also not entirely familiar with.
You know, the Candydragons have a pretty swell logo. I just noticed.
Yeah, Double Dutch Dragons has had their own logos for quite a while, and they successfully imported those into StarCraft, so they can look all fancy.
Wow. Alright, so we have a high ground pylon coming out of the Protoss player, probably going to be a gateway expansion here, or maybe even a Nexus first. We'll have to see. Now this is going to be a gateway. The Nexus is already rallied towards the ramp. There goes the gateway, and it looks like Power Beam. Well, let us see if he dares to go for a hatchery first. It would not be uncommon. It's actually very common in the recent days to go hatchery first versus Protoss every single time. But some Zergs still do prefer pool first openings, just to be sure. And you know, on a map such as this could backfire because of the distances. Not as much because of the chance of getting cannon rushed. It's very difficult to cannon rush the natural on this map, but the distances are so short that the Protoss player can actually put a lot of pressure from start until his gateway tech finishes pretty much all the time.
So yeah, I completely agree with this. Power Beam did go for the hatch first, and he's actually heavily delaying his spawning pool. He did also go for a scouting drone. So I'm not quite sure why. Yeah, he's actually going 3 hatch.
Oh man!
But that was a really good. Well, I'm not sure it was actually a response. Like he did see the gateway and then made the 3rd hatch, but the drone was already there. Going 3 hatch before pool is basically the perfect build order against the gateway expand because it just takes really a long time.
Oh, I wouldn't be so sure about that. I mean, look at Indy. He scouts the pool. Just going off the timing, he should know what's happening, and if he decides to put a lot of gateway pressure on that 3rd base, he may actually kill it. If he skips gas, and I have seen this happen in a different league, if he skips gas and warps in only Zealots and goes with only Zealots off of 1 gas, he will kill that 3rd, and he could possibly even kill the base before he has to retreat.
Yeah, that's basically the main option, or the only option you really have. In order to do so. He's actually going for a Stalker. He cancelled his initial Zealot, so he doesn't want to be aggressive with it. But yeah, the pool has now finished, and at this point there's actually 2 Overlords in position here for Power Beam, so he can actually get a really good scout off of what his opponent's doing. But we are waiting for the next decision out of Indy, and that could, like you mentioned, be a couple of additional gateways, but so far Power Beam is just going to drone up heavily.
Yeah, he is, and I don't know if I really like the response here from Indy. It looks like he's not responding to this at all. It's as if he's saying, well, you got a 3rd hatch, okay, I don't care. So, I don't know. I mean, I was at least, in the very least, expecting something like, I don't know, a Stargate, a Twilight, something to kill probes, I mean drones, but so far he's just playing absolutely standard, getting his 2 gateways at the front to form a wall off, and putting on a slight bit of pressure here with the Stalkers. He might actually go for a 3 gateway pressure here. He does have a probe out on the map, but has reconsidered. He's not going to be building that proxy pylon, which is kind of a shame, because he would be able to start warping in units, but this is probably just a fake out to force units. 12 links in production, so he did succeed in that, and he's actually at this point in time ahead in probes, and there's the Twilight.
There is indeed a Twilight, so this will well, this could be a DT response if he wants to, but it doesn't seem very likely. Like he's getting a Forge, who's going to be putting money into upgrades.
Yeah, I think this is more than likely going to be +2 blink timing off of 2 bases, maybe even off of 3. Actually, blink timings with +2 off 3 bases with like 9 or 12 gateways are pretty strong if you build a couple Immortals beforehand.
Power Beam spotted the Twilight Council with his Overlord, which is now being killed off. There's 2 sentries at the front along with the Mothership Core, and I feel Power Beam is kind of overcommitted on links. Like he made a couple links, but they're really not going to do well, anything. So yeah, he's gonna get a scout off, forces out a force field. That's nice. But he needs to make a decision. Like, I think he needs to macro up a bit because he does have a third, but he hasn't really mined from it all that much. There's currently only 4 drones there.
Yeah.
And we still haven't seen a lair nor a roach warren.
Exactly.
So I'm really...
He's just staying on links. He's getting the spore crawlers right now. He did see the twilight, as you mentioned, so he knows that DTs are a possibility. This is not going to be happening, however. We have +1 being chrono boosted out. I'm just waiting for the blink to be queued up. Currently, Indy does not have enough gas, or did not have enough gas for that. And there's a lair. That's a pretty late lair, but considering the opening from power beam, it's completely understandable. It's only slightly later than you would normally see, which, you know, normal lair timings are around 7-minute mark, and he started his at 8 minutes approximately. So
power beam is being completely paranoid. Like, he sent all his links home, and he scouted around the entire map looking to find a proxy pylon, but he couldn't find anything. The reason the Twilight Council was made was simply to provide the upgrades possibilities for Blink as well as +2. And Indy is simply getting a third and expanding. And right now, Powerbeam will actually find himself behind on tech, and only slightly, well, pretty much equal actually on economy.
Yeah, and you know, if Indy goes for 3-base timing with pure Blink, Stalker +2, and sentries, this is going to be very, very difficult for Powerbeam to defend against. Usually versus... because that's a very strong army. Usually versus that, you want to have some kind of a tech advantage. And on this map specifically, force fields are very powerful. Combine that with Blink, and those Stalkers pretty much become immortals, so you don't even need a robo.
It's wow, that's pretty. That sounds pretty scary actually. So it looks like Powerbeam is going to be committing to Roach tech. He's getting Burrow +1, Roach speed, and a whole bunch of
Burrow
roaches.
is a good idea.
Yeah, the Burrow is a really good idea.
I like that.
I wonder if it's going to be just roaches. He does have the lair, so the option to go for speed lane, for Hydralisks is of course there. But so far he's been, you know, pretty passive. Indy is setting up an impenetrable perimeter at his third base with gateways and cannons.
And he's going to be on a whole lot of gateways. He does have 3. He's building 5 more. That's 8 gates, and he can start pushing the +2. Is just about to finish. Couple more chrono boosts on that. Blink will be done in a couple of seconds. Those roaches, they don't have tunneling claws yet. Now, granted, there is no detection for Indy. He does not have a robo, but those roaches can't move underground, so he'll just wait until they regenerate, and then he'll pick them off.
Well, Blink forward actually from Powerbeam gets a couple of nice force field off to separate these roaches. The links caught behind the force fields are actually not doing anything at all, and Indy is just tearing the Zerg force apart, whereas Powerbeam decides it's time to commit to the fight.
Yeah, and the armies are pretty much divided. We have battle on 2 fronts here, on the north and on the south. The north forces of roaches have been routed, and now Indy is in pursuit of the southern flank. Some pretty cool micro battles happening here, and now that Indy has seen those roaches, he gets the robo, and probably he'll get a couple immortals, or at least an observer or 2 out of there before he tries to push again. But he can go right now. He does not have to wait. The Zerg is on 3 bases. He doesn't even have gases at the third, and he's only producing roaches and links. The Protoss is in an advantageous position right now.
This is a situation. Okay, the Burrow comes in very handily, but the robo is actually finished here for Indy. But this is a situation that Indy can almost not lose. Like,
exactly.
On equal basis, his upgrades are better, especially with the Blink and the +3 here for the Protoss. And he's going to transition into Robotech, which will just completely destroy the roaches. And finally, we have the Hydralisk then here being
Oh, that's a little bit too late. I don't know. I mean, that's not going to help.
Yeah, I hope he realizes he cannot fight without a significant amount of Hydras, but still, the Stalker force is ever so increasing. +2 attack for the Zergs will help. But still, he's going to need something like Vipers here to actually properly support his army, because currently he's just being picked apart by Blink Stalkers, because he cannot actually pick a fight against these force fields.
Yeah, no, he can't. And you're absolutely right. Blinding Clouds are just about the only thing that would help him tremendously in this fight. There goes the first set of force field, sectioning that army off nicely, but there is the detection. Those roaches will not be hiding out for long, and versus Pure Roach, this army is just so superior. Boss 3 is getting closer and closer to being done by the second. This is a pretty good fight for Indy. And here come the Roaches, but Indy does not care. He does not care, he still has the Observer. And even if he did not have the Observer, he wouldn't care. And those Roaches are just, they're being massacred, man.
Yeah, they didn't actually do all that much in that fight. Yeah, Indy completely trumps Power Beam here. GG comes out. And well played there by Indy. He played very solid. He had a very straightforward plan. He executed it nicely. And pretty much something you would expect from a Grandmaster player against a Masters level player.